This is episode 582, and today we're going to be talking about walking your talk or doing what you say you're going to do, however you want to think of it. But, let me ask you, how often have you run into a leader, boss, a manager who's been successful at guiding others by saying one thing and doing something completely different? Not very often, if often at all. That's simply because it doesn't work. You can't, as a leader, in this, even if you are in a employment situation where you're not a manager, you still lead people. You lead your family, you lead your friends, we're all leaders at some point or another. So we could say it's been a successful leader or a successful individual. But when you don't if you don't walk your talk, there's going to be some dramatic effects in your life about that. So, it's highly likely that principles taught without the right examples being put into practice will eventually fall by the wayside. So, do as I say, not as I do, doesn't hold water, and it never did, because the examples lead more powerfully than the words. Our behavior leads more powerfully than our words. If you smoke and tell your kids not to smoke, then there's a contradiction of messages there. If you tell the truth all the time, and your kids hear you on the phone saying that you're busy that night, you can't go out, that's a contradiction. So that's not walking your walk. It's okay to say, no, I can't go out, or no, you don't want to go out, or whatever it is because of something else. But if you say you have other plans and you don't, that's not really walking your talk, and you're teaching your family, your children, that it's okay to be lack of integrity. So especially, if you're in a position of authority, and most of us are in some facet of our life, whether it's at work, our family, or friends, it is of the utmost importance to lead by example if you expect to gain compliance or just even to get respect. I mean, think of people that you know in your life that say one thing and do another. Do you really have deep respect? Do you admire them? Do you hold them up to be a role model? Most likely not. So now it's time to look in the mirror to see if you are walking your talk. So some benefits of leading by example is that, it supports of the principles based on results, meaning you have a certain principle that you live by, and the results verify it. And that could be anything from weight loss, weight gain, romance, finance. You could be talking to somebody about financial abundance and you're not saving money. However, if you're saving money, you can then give the example to the individual. Well, I put aside $100 every week for the past 5 years, and this is what I have. So your principle aligns with your results. Your results are confirmation of your principles. And that is truly important. So if you're going to give advice or tell people how you live your life, first make sure you have the results to support that. And again, it's not the results for the results' sake, but the results are a byproduct of living those principles. Full understanding of the principles. That means that you completely understand the principles that you are living by. Again, if you say, I'm going to, leverage the compound effect of depositing money on a regular basis, and you fully understand it, you're going to deposit money on a regular basis. If you fully understand the principle or the value of I'm going to work out every single day or 5 days a week because of my health, and you work out, you fully understand the principle. When we don't understand why we should do something or why we want to do something, we tend not to do it, but we think it sounds good, so we'll tell others to do it, but we completely don't understand that principle, so we don't do it. And again, we fall back onto well, do as I say, not as I do. So when we comprehend our principles, the principles that we want to live by, and again, this can include nutrition, exercise, uh, being in a deep, loving relationship, whatever that is, when we understand those principles, we will act on them because we understand them, and then the results will show. Cohesion and cooperation when you fully understand it. And in work, this is truly, truly important because as a manager, as a director, as a VP, as a CEO, we want to set that example so our team will follow suit. There'll be cohesion. There'll be a symmetry in the way your team. It's kind of you're establishing the culture in your business. And cooperation will be easier to align. It won't be that they're cooperating with you in that they want to do something else. It's that they want to align with those principles because you're setting an example. And that can be held true to for family or friends. When you set that example, if you are committed and you're going to the gym, let's just say at night, at 5 o'clock at night, and your friends say, "Hey, let's go out for a drink at happy hour. It's been a rough week," and you don't go to the gym and repeat that, your friends aren't going to join you at the gym either because they don't have that cooperation because they perceive that you don't understand your principles and the results aren't showing. However, if you stick by your guns, quote unquote, and go to the gym, they will respect you for that. They'll give you a hard time, but then when they start to see the changes in you, they will make better decisions and there will be cohesion and cooperation on their part to live a life that you are living. And respect. Respect respect is one of those funny things where really we don't need it from other people, but it's nice to have because comes with respect comes wise counsel comes those things, and respect isn't from an ego driven, but when people respect us, we then can help them improve their life because when they respect, they'll listen to us. Not that we are the smartest person, the more intelligent, but on certain subjects, when you are respected, people will come to you for your wise counsel. And with that, you can help change their life. If people don't respect you, they're just not going to hang around with you. They're just not going to talk with you. It's just kind of, you're going to be alone in a sense if you don't walk your talk because people are going to know that you're a phony, and really nobody likes to hang around with phonies, but people like to hang around with people they respect, and the respect will go both ways. So that's some of the benefits of leading by example. There's many, many, many others. you know at some level people are watching what you do. Not that you're so important, not that I'm so important, but people are observing us. And when you just go about your day living your principles, you're setting an example that others can follow suit. Again, working out, nutrition, romance. Guys, if you are opening the car door for your partner, that is, and people are watching you, you are leading by example. You have this chivalry is not dead attitude, and you just do it because that's part of who you are. That is going to have a ripple effect on other people that are watching you, and then that will gain respect. So when you walk your talk, you are affecting many people who are observing you from afar. So some of the disastrous results, right, of not practicing what you preach, those you expect compliance from will very soon grow to resent you. I mean, there's nothing more irritating than having somebody tell you what to do, but they don't do it. Whether it's a boss, a coworker, a romantic partner, even a parent, if your parents are still there, or even kids. Nothing. When they start to resent you, resent, right, is kind of the opposite of respect. And when somebody resents you, they're not going to listen to anything you say, because how you do anything is a reflection of how you do everything. And if you don't walk your talk on one area of your life, the person unconsciously is going to presume that you're not doing it anywhere in your life. So why should they listen to you? Which is respect. So they're going to resent you for being a phony. There's this irritation that comes when we discover or find or see that somebody is actually being a phony. And with that, you're not going to have the circle of friends you want. You're not going to have the tight, close, romantic relationship. At work, you're going to lose the engagement of your team, and that's going to show up in their results at work. You may end up with negative reputation as an ineffective leader. Now, from a career perspective, this can be huge. This is absolutely huge. If you're just starting out the corporate ladder, and we'll just use sales, you go from an individual contributor to a manager, and as the manager, you switch your principles and your beliefs, and you don't do what you tell your people to do. You're not going to be able to lead them, and they're going to have a mutiny, if you will. The results aren't going to show, and then your career is over. You're not going to be promoted to director, VP, whatever that career is. So you want to make sure that you walk your talk, especially in the workplace, if you have, your sights set higher on the corporate ladder, because being ineffective leader, there's nothing worse, because ineffective leaders don't produce results, and companies are about producing results, whether it's results for their clients or results for their shareholders, whatever that is. Companies are in place to generate results, and ineffective leaders don't generate results. So that could put a coffin, or you could be in a nail in your coffin as far as the career ladder is concerned. And cases of rebellion, right, this mutiny, will continue to grow as more and more people feel they're being dictated to instead of led. That again can be in your family environment. If you're telling your family to do something, and you're telling them, hey, you need to cut down on smoking and drinking, and you sit on the couch and have 5 beers and smoke a pack of cigarettes, they're going to rebel. They're going to go F you and be done with it. Same thing with your friends. If you say one thing and do another and tell them to do things, they're just going to rebel. It just creates a nasty, nasty environment where people aren't going to want to be around you, because you're going to be, quote, a liar. You're going to be hypocritical. Nobody likes to be a hypocrite. So it's really, great things can happen when you are aligned with your principles and your values. And that's kind of what it means by walking your talk, is that you have your values, you have your code of honor, you have your principles, you let people know what they are through your actions, and that's walking that talk in a sense. But if you don't, you're going to have a whole bunch of problems keeping relationships going, keeping friendships going, keeping your team members engaged. There's a whole bunch of bad things that can happen with that. So some ways you can start leading by example if you realize that you're not. Start small and stick to your immediate circle of influence. So, for instance, we'll use work again. If you're a manager and you tell people, hey, I want you to take the weekend off, don't check your emails. If you've been sending emails or texts to your team on Sundays because it's more convenient for you, stop it. Send your texts or emails on Monday during working business hours, because if you say take the weekend off, but you communicate with them, you're saying don't take the weekend off. So start with something small. Examine what you tell your team to do or encourage them to do, and make sure you do the same thing. Just one thing. Just do one thing every week. So we want to use that compound effect by doing what's one thing you can do this week to start to walk your walk, and then what's one thing you can do next week. And by the end of the year, you will have changed 52 things in your life that align with walking your talk. Give yourself the opportunity to impart morals and good belief systems on your immediate family and close friends. What that means is take a look at your core values at your principles, at your code of honor. How do you want to live? And talk to your friends and family about those things and what that means for you. That obviously means that you have to know what your core values are, what your code of honor is. How do you want to live your life? If you don't know that, that might be a good reason to contact a coach like myself to help you identify those core values and what does that mean to you as far as living your life in accordance with those. What principles do you need to have? What code of honor do you need to create? Then you can start to share those. Once you understand them and embrace them, share them with your family and friends. Have a great deep conversation that, hey, you can say, I took some time, I worked with a coach, here's my core values, and here's how I'm going to start living them. What are yours? Let's explore yours so we all can be living in accordance with our core values. Tackle each principle one at a time. That is, once you establish these core values, your code of honor, the principles that you want to live by, just pick one. On a scale of 1 to 10, don't use 7 because everybody uses 7. On a scale of 1 to 10, principle 1, how are you living that? If you score a 6, then ask yourself, what's one thing I can do to move it from a 6 to an 8? Then when you get to an 8, what's one thing? So get as close to a 10 as you can with your principles. Your principles really shouldn't be more than 10 because we have other ones, but I would go for your top 5, which is really going to steer your life, perhaps the top 10. Take each principle, each value, each guiding direction on a scale of 1 to 10 where you are. Take the first one. What's one thing you can do this week to move it closer to a 10? And then go for number 2, number 3, number 4. Work hard at allowing to become integral part of your everyday life. This is kind of working hard, integral part. This is an unconscious habit, unconscious behavior. If you know you are going to be honest, which is really, really tough these days because we're being drawn in so many directions that if we're asked to do something, we will say yes, which is not being honest if we don't have the time, or we'll say no and make up an excuse as opposed to telling the truth, saying we don't have enough time. But allowing each principle to become part of your everyday life until it becomes second nature, until it becomes habitual. If you're saying that you're going to get fit, work on going to the gym, your schedule 5 days a week. Pretty soon it's going to be second nature and people are going to go, oh, he has integrated his health principle into his life, or she has integrated it because I see this person at the gym all the time and they're walking their talk. So just keep in mind, walking your talk is a lifelong journey. It's called a practice, not a perfect. And there may be times that you fall below your own expectations and the principles you aspire to uphold, but that's feedback. There's no failure, there's just feedback. Once you get the feedback, you correct and continue. However, what's important is that you recognize it and take the necessary steps to get back on track. So first we have to know what our values, our principles, our code of honor is. Then we have to be aware when we're faltering. And then we have to take the necessary action to correct to get back on course. It's an ongoing practice. It's not an ongoing perfect. If you'd like to see the show notes for this podcast, you can go over to warriormindcoach.com. Find the show notes, and while you're there, you can find out how to contact me for some coaching. You can also find other podcasts and blog posts that will help you in your personal growth and personal development. And since you'll be on the internet, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest under Warrior Mind Coach.